Hello everyone, this is D Aqualyn, and I'm coming back to answer the second comment that I got for the question, is there an area of your life you feel you need more confidence? And the second response that I got was overcoming fear and start saying yes when I want to say no. This is my year of yes to healthy, positive, life-changing things, risks, things I would have said no to in the past due to fear. So I want to do two parts to this. Let's talk first about overcoming fear. So this is a treatment that I actually gave to myself a long time ago, where I decided that I wanted to embrace certain things in my life. And one of the things that I realized was the one thing that was holding me back from embracing certain things in my life and certain areas of my life was fear. And so I started doing this and teaching this actually. So you are a part of Inner Work University. So you may have heard me say this before, and sometimes we need to be reminded. But I started doing this thing where I ask myself, if I do this thing that I'm afraid of, what's the worst that can happen? And I literally take my mind there and I imagine the worst case scenario. And then I ask myself, if that happens, if the worst case scenario happens, how would I feel? How would it impact my life? Would I be okay? Would I still be alive? Would I still be breathing? Would I be able to start over again? Would I be able to learn from that mistake? And then I go back to the opposite of that and I ask myself, if I do this thing that I'm afraid of, what's the best situation? What's the best outcome of this? And I go back to those same questions. Will I be okay? Will I learn lessons? How will it impact my life? And if you can answer those questions honestly from a space of, if the worst case scenario happens and I know that I'm going to be okay, then really what is there to be afraid of? And I noticed that when I do this exercise, what seems like a huge thing becomes very, 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 very little. So that is the first thing, is overcoming the fear by asking those two questions. Well, asking those series of questions, but it's the main two. What's the worst? What's the best outcome? And then, how would my life look like or feel like if the worst happens or if the best happens? And will I be able to start over? And guess what? Absolutely you will, if the worst happens. So that is the first thing. Now I want to get into the saying yes intentionally. What this means is that you have a desire for a more fulfilling life. And so I want you to honor that part of yourself by knowing that there is nothing wrong with having a more fulfilling life. That's the God part of you, the Godness that needs and desires a more fulfilling life. And so honor yourself for feeling that way. Honor yourself for desiring more out of life, because you're here to experience everything that you desire. So that's number one. Well, not number one. That's me honoring you and telling you to honor yourself. And I guess it could be number one. But the one thing that I have is, number one thing is, write down what that fulfilling life looks like and feel like for you. Write it down, and then I want you to connect with it. Write it down, and in writing it down, you're going to connect with it, because a lot of times what we want is not necessarily a thing, more so than a feeling. And so you're saying yes, to health and to a positive life. Then that means that you're wanting the feeling of what that brings for you. And so make sure that not only do you write it down, but you also connect with that fulfilling life that you want and you desire. Because again, when you make that connection, what you're doing is you're becoming, I'm going to say becoming one with it. And as you're becoming one with it, you're going to start living it out more in your life. The next thing is, and I talk about the power of imagination all the time. As a matter of fact, in the previous video that I just recorded, I talked about the imagination, which is a powerful tool that we all have. So imagine your life looking like, what your life will look like and feel like once you are manifesting the fulfilled life that you desire. And I mean, really take time to sit down and imagine it. Don't just, in the spur of the moment think about it. Like, meditate on what that looks like, what it feels like. I have this thing that I do about the house that I'm believing for, that I live in this house in my mind. Like, when I go to bed, in my physical bed right now, in the space that I'm in, and I close my eyes, I am in the bed, in that space, in that house. So you have to make it a part of you. So utilize your imagination and see that fulfilling life, whether it is hopping on a plane, going on vacation, and spending time with your friends or with your boo or whatever. Do that in your mind and see it. And not only see it, but connect with the feeling of it. How does it feel? How do you feel? What is your life like now that you're living this fulfilled life? So that's number 2. Number 3 is you want to give yourself permission to step outside of your comfort zone. Most people who feel unfulfilled they feel this way because they have not given themselves permission to step outside of their comfort zone. They have put themselves in maybe a routine, or maybe in someone else's mindset of who they are. So give yourself permission to step outside of that. Give yourself permission to step outside and begin to live free. So that's number 3. Number 4 is you want to affirm yes. And when I say affirm yes, I mean literally look at yourself in the mirror and say yes. When you're driving in your car to and from, say yes. Start affirming yes. Because when you're saying no all the time, or when you don't say anything at all, when it's time for you to say yes, you won't know how. So literally practice saying yes. Practice it. Start in the mirror, and then, like I said, when you're driving, or whenever you just have some time to yourself, or even after your prayer time or your meditation time or whatever, just affirm yes. While you're cooking a meal, affirm yes, and continue to say that, and say to yourself, I say yes to healthy and positive life. I say yes to for more fulfilling life. I say yes to, and the things that you say yes to. I say yes to traveling around the world with my friends. I say yes to, whatever. So start saying yes, and saying it now will make it easier to say yes when the time comes. So that is number 4. The last one is this: pause. Pause before you do anything, or before you make a decision. Before the no comes out, you need to pause. And when you pause, I want you to take a moment, and I want you to, go within, go into your mind, and see the yes and see the no. What I mean by that is see the outcome of the yes and see the outcome of the no, and how you're going to feel in the end of that. So those are the 5 ways for you to confidently say yes to life, and confidently say yes to yourself and your personal fulfillment. I'm going to give you those one more time. Number 1, you want to write down what you want or desire to experience, and then you want to make a connection with that. Number 2 is you want to imagine yourself doing those things. Number 3, give yourself permission to step outside of your comfort zone. Number 4 is start saying yes. And number 5 is pause and think before you do or don't do anything. So that's all that I have. Thank you so much for asking or answering my question. And I hope that what I'm sharing was able to give you some insight. I know that you have the power to live a fulfilling life. It's in you. It is on you. It is your destiny. It is your reason for being here, is to be fulfilled. So thank you for answering that. With that, that's it. Know this, that you are the work of God. God's work is wholly lovable and wholly loving. Take care.